Okay, so we've planned our information, set clear deliverables, we've tracked them, but now comes the critical question. How do we know that what has been delivered actually meets the requirements?
On too many projects I've worked on, the checking process has been slow, manual, and messy. Spreadsheets, coordination meetings, and last-minute surprises.
And here is the reality. Manual checking is reactive. Problems are only found after it's too late to fix them easily.
Yeah, the real goal of quality assurance isn't to catch the mistakes at the end. It's to guide the teams to get things right from the start. You know, the moment the model gets the green light in coordination, and then someone realizes that, unfortunately, it missed half of the contract requirements. This is what it feels like. Have you guys ever faced this problem where a model has passed coordination, but it's still completely missing maybe the information requirements? When we talk about the asset model at the end, what's the last minute scramble?
I've seen a model be essentially clash-free, but they were missing structural components that are pretty important when you're trying to run mechanical plumbing systems throughout the building.
Yeah, so it was a good coordination session, but unfortunately was missing a lot of the things that needed to be coordinated.
Yeah, no beams.
No BIM. So why does quality assurance process in the traditional sense, why does it fail a lot of the time?
Sometimes it's manual QA. Processes usually involve manual checking of models against sometimes outdated spreadsheets, reporting issues in long lists, sometimes using issue management tools, but sometimes it's just Excel or even worse, a PDF, and waiting for coordination meetings to find or resolve issues, and endless review loops with unclear results.
And because checking is so painful, it happens too late, after teams have already used or even built on bad data.
Yeah, another huge issue is that I've seen traditional processes focus on creating reports about problems, long clash reports and issue lists, non-compliances, rather than spend it on proactive work.
Even using BCF workflows, while an improvement is still reactive. You're creating issues after the fact, then passing them back and forth between teams.
Teams spend hours and hours finding issues, creating long reports, sending them back to the original authors, waiting for them to interpret the findings, fix the issues, and return deliverables, creating a never-ending feedback loop.
Yep, all of that is wasted because deliverables, they've been disconnected from the original information requirements. And teams are just guessing what good enough means, usually because there's disconnected sets of requirements in PDFs and spreadsheets that don't help them build their deliverables. And so the only way that they find their way through this is in reactive reports and then lots of rework. We've seen much better workflows and less waste if people are following a clash avoidance workflow rather than a clash detection workflow. And that can only happen with prior planning and making sure that teams are building models in the right sequence.
Yeah, instead of focusing on catching problems after they happen, we can be proactive, starting by defining clear, structured, and machine-readable requirements, which thankfully we've already done in the previous part 4.
When teams know upfront exactly what's expected, because it's clearly defined in the scope and linked to their deliverables and contracts, they can actually check their own work before submission.
This is where integrated tools like Plannerly come in. Basically, teams can upload their deliverables or connect them through another CDE. And whether they're drawings or documents, they can be connected directly to the contracted tasks. And also, automatically, with the verification checks run, they can see live and visually on the models whether they meet the requirements or maybe they don't. This is a really clear way to be able to visualize what has been modeled and met their information requirements and what still needs to be updated prior to an issue report or a topic in a BCF file being created.
This way, the QA becomes part of the creation process. So not just an after-the-fact wasteful audit and rework cycle.
Yep, absolutely. What would it change if the people creating deliverables were also empowered to verify and get them to a state where they simply are 100% accurate to the information requirements that have been set? Wouldn't that make the management of this workflow a lot easier? If all you had to do was going through and checking the boxes to say, yep, you've done exactly what's been required because it's all shown as green. That would be a better place to be.
Yeah, it's a self-QA workflow as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So verification starts by defining simple, structured rules based on your scope.
So, for example, every wall must have fire rating, or every mechanical unit must have manufacturer property, or spaces must include an occupancy classification.
And because these rules are tied directly to the original information requirements, there's no guesswork. Teams know exactly what conditions of satisfaction they need to meet.
Yep. So we can define the properties and the rules and exactly what those requirements are, even using some AI to define a pattern that is required for the values inside of a property that might need to be inside of a group or a property set. Once these have been defined, we can then select them and apply them to the line items in our scope grid.
When teams run their own verification, they get immediate visual feedback. Green for passed, red for missing, and yellow for incorrect or warnings.
Teams can click on any issue, walls, doors, spaces, and so on, and fix problems proactively before formal submission.
No more passing deliverables to a checker and hoping. Teams can own their own quality from the start.
Yep, absolutely. All tied in directly to the information requirements that are part of the contract. So you can navigate through models and understand quality without having to open spreadsheets and do any manual checking. How much rework would be eliminated, guys, if this was something that teams followed religiously, if it was caught and fixed by the team delivering the model rather than waiting for somebody to report it in an issue, topic, a VCF file? How much time do you think that would save?
The proactive nature is pretty beautiful, I believe. So not having to wait till an issue is coded by the receiving party, but you see that as you are creating the models. Of course, you are very well aware of where the issues are occurring, what the issues are. So fixing them takes no time instead of creating those long reports and sending it back to the source. So I believe it's a no-brainer that it cuts out a lot of wasteful man hours from the entire process.
Verification isn't just about pass or fail. It's about guiding progress.
Teams can update the status of deliverables live in the Kanban board. Proposed, pending, verified, approved, and even define their own statuses.
Yep. Real-time quality assurance tracking gives leadership the immediate visibility into what deliverable is ready, which needs maybe some work, and which ones are progressing smoothly and don't need any looking at all. Inside of a Kanban board, you can see how we are changing here the different statuses by either clicking on the drop-down or reviewing it, identifying what's done, and then just dragging the cards between the different columns to reflect the updates. It's really pretty simple and fully integrated. Why does this matter, Akosh? Why is this important?
Well, without structured verification processes, compliance is very much inconsistent. Mistakes are caught too late, and quality assurance becomes reactive and very costly.
Yep. So on the flip side, with structured, integrated, and proactive, we say proactive a lot because it's all about how can you use what's been planned in order to make sure that you don't end up with lots of issues later on. So models will be aligned with the scope and the contractual requirements really early in that workflow. Problems will be caught and fixed before they become blockers and before they're even shared with anyone else. They're fixed internally. And then teams can take ownership of their own quality and build confidence across the project so that other people will actually start using the models that are being delivered.
Yeah, quality assurance isn't just about finding mistakes and fixing them. It's about truly empowering teams to deliver right the first time.
All right. So ready to wrap up? Let's move on to part 6, which is about exporting reports and managing the final handover. Let's take a look. We'll see you there.